I am Shannon O'Hurley. My pronouns are she, her, and I am so grateful to be with you, so thankful to be with you. So, in New Thought, in our teaching, we teach something called the co-creative process. Many of you who were just recently in my Beyond Limits class are now beautifully, beautifully familiar with this spiritual tool. And for those of you who maybe don't know what it is yet, I'm going to share with you just in a nutshell. Here's the heart of it. So in New Thought, we do not believe in a faraway, out there man, God in the sky that we are sort of at the mercy of. That is not anywhere in our tradition. We in New Thought understand that God, Spirit, love, please use whatever word you are comfortable with, is an unconditionally ever-loving divine presence that is always with us, within us, around us, surrounding us, guiding us, lifting us, whenever we choose to turn towards it. So, in the co-creative process, everything begins with a divine idea. A divine idea, a spark, if you will. And this divine idea is clear. It's this inner nudge, and it lets you know that something wants to come into your life. You have all had this, Call the person, do the thing, turn left. Whatever it may be, we've all had that experience in our life. That is a divine idea. Or sometimes it can also be something is ready to be released, to be let go of. That is also a divine idea. Perhaps also consider another way that divine ideas show up is when we finally choose to do the thing or let go of the thing that will finally give us peace. Anybody? Okay. That too, my loves, is a divine idea. And once we get clarity about that divine idea, we use these whole set of New Thought spiritual practices, which I'm going to get to in a bit, that help create this healthy, fertile spiritual soil, if you will, needed to grow what it is that we're calling forth from within us. As long as it harms no one and brings more light to our life and the lives of others in the world, this is the co-creative process. That there is always an ongoing conversation we are having with the divine, always. And part of our work here is making the unconscious conscious and attuning our hearing with the ear behind the ear so that we can receive these inner nudges from Spirit. But. That didn't sound very good, did it? Oh well, it's just us, it's fine. And. So, what happens when the clarity hasn't arrived yet? What about the time before the divine idea becomes clear? The time when we can feel something shifting or something ending or something beginning, but we don't yet know what it is specifically. That space, that sacred not yet, is what I call the in-between time. We are very much living in what feels like an in-between time right now. We just had Thanksgiving. Many of you may still be working on leftovers. You may be starting to take pumpkins off your porch. I just did that yesterday. And maybe you're beginning your holiday decorations if you do that. I know some of you had all of your holiday decorations up the day after Halloween. Good for you. I don't live in that world. So for the majority of us are sort of in between the holiday time, right? We are in between holiday seasons. In most of the parts of our country, with a few exceptions this week that are going to be experiencing snowstorms. We love you, we love you, we love you. Here in the United States, it still feels like autumn. You know, we haven't yet moved into full-blown winter. We haven't had the solstice yet. Many of you have shared with me your current in-between journeys. Maybe you are healing from something emotional, or maybe it's something physical, but you're not quite there yet. Maybe your in-between time right now is a version of yourself that you realize you are outgrowing. Maybe you've gotten to an age where the things you used to spend a lot of time caring about, your priorities are shifting. They're rearranging. But it's not yet totally clear. Are you with me? Yeah. Or maybe for you, it's a job, it's a relationship, a habit, or simply a way of living that very well may have served you, but that you are evolving past. On the collective level, we here in the United States are absolutely in the in-between. We are being called on the grandest scale to learn from our historical and collective past so that we can step into a brighter, healthier future, shaped not by fear, but by justice, compassion, and collective awakening. A higher, more loving vibration worthy of every single soul who calls this place home. We are all of us in some way, to some degree, in this in-between time. My talk today is called How to Live in the In-Between. And my intention today is to bring some awareness, some tools, some spiritual comfort as we navigate this time and this terrain together. So the in-between time is also known as the liminal space. The word liminal comes from the Latin meaning threshold, the sacred in-between, the place where we no longer are who we were, and we are in the process of who we are becoming. It's like the hallway between two doors, the season between an ending and the season between a beginning. The Franciscan Richard Rohr writes, "The liminal space is where we are betwixt and between the familiar and the completely unknown, a good space where genuine newness can begin." It's a good space where genuine newness can begin. It is in this space, this hallway, if you will, that our old certainties fall away. The maps that used to work no longer apply. We cannot go back, and we cannot yet see the full path ahead, because the next divine idea for us is formulating. Now, here's the deal. Most of us, dare I say, almost all of us, would rather rush through this hallway as quickly as possible. Yes, please. We look for the next door, the next answer, the next solid thing to stand on. And when that doesn't appear fast enough, we start to try to force it. We try to control the uncontrollable. We micromanage this life. We, in essence, elbow our way through our own becoming. We do everything we can to avoid discomfort of the in-between, instead of trusting that something divine is unfolding. It's unfolding within us, and this cannot be hurried. It is so easy to forget that the hallway itself, my friends, is holy ground. And this idea is an ancient one. From Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching, it says, "Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself?" Now, we have free will, so just know that when we push our way through the holy hallway or hurry the chrysalis period, we are not leaving any room for God or Spirit to work, to move, to live, to breathe, to be through us. If we are not creating the spaciousness for God to be God, for Spirit to be Spirit, for love to be love in our life, if we are hurrying up, and as we do so often here in the West, powering through our transformation time, we are not going to be transformed. It's not going to happen. We will just be disappointed. Why? Because we will have successfully sabotaged the potentiality for our greatest good. Thinking, I'm glad you're going to remember that, thank you. Thinking that we can speed read our way through spiritual growth is basically like the same thing as a pregnant person telling their doctor, listen, 9 months isn't going to work for me. I have a really packed schedule, and I need to have this baby fully baked, assembled, and ready for preschool at least by the end of the quarter. So we do that all the time. I just imagine, it's like I hear Spirit laughing. It's going, oh, sweetie. But you see, I'll tell you, the longer that I've been in spiritual life, the more acutely aware I have become of the absolute importance, requirement even, of cultivating the art of patience. Oh, this has been one of the hardest things for me. And anyone who knew me prior to age, let's say, 30, knows that well. I practiced the art of impatience very well. So I speak from my heart when I tell you this. It's an art form, it's a spiritual practice, and it's trust. It's really, having patience is really trusting the divine in our life. And this wisdom is ancient. From the Christian tradition, love is patient, love is kind. Another way of saying that, God is patient, God is kind. From Islam, in the Quran, it says, indeed, God is with those who are patient. And from Jainism, which predates both Christianity and Islam, it talks about patience being the greatest virtue. And it is easier than done. We know that, they knew that. I know. Here's the deal. When we are in the in-between, we have an opportunity to recognize it's going to take patience, and we are invited to let go of business as usual, to forget the spreadsheets, and to loosen our grip on consciously or unconsciously trying to control everything. Instead, we are asked to let the mud settle and to listen deeply for the still small voice within us, that steady, calm, comforting, assuring guidance from Spirit, from love. Now, some of you may be sitting here or at home, and you may be wondering, well, how do we know, or how do I know when it's spiritual guidance and not my ego just trying to take the shortcut and hurry things up by the end of the quarter? How do I know the difference, you might be wondering. I shared this in my recent workshop on connecting with our angels and inner wisdom. You know you are receiving spiritual guidance because something within you opens up. It's a feeling of expansion, never contraction. It's unmistakably clear, and it has an exquisitely neutral yet calm, knowing feeling associated with it. The guidance itself feels spacious. Have you ever had that moment where something clicks for you and you just go, oh, yes, that's your inner guidance. That's your inner wisdom. That's Spirit saying, here you go, darling. Here you go. Nothing about it feels rushed. Nothing about it feels loud. In her talk last week, grateful for this, Rev Shelley mentioned the liminal space. And I want to build on her beautiful teaching. She said, gratitude flows in the space of the pause, because the pause is where we reconnect with Source, and that is the most important liminal moment. She explained that we have a beautiful opportunity to reconnect and to remember Spirit when we are in the liminal, in-between threshold space. When we're in this space, we're actually being asked to remember God, Spirit, Source, quantum consciousness, love. And you know, one of the things that I have noticed about being a human being on the spiritual path is this. We are quite often, in any given area of our life, in a liminal space of one kind or another. We are in a hallway between what was and what will be, between the part of our life that no longer fits and the part of our life that has not yet arrived. And I want to be really, really clear here. This is never to be confused with those often toxic self-help communities that are constantly trying to sell you the idea that something is broken and you have to make it better. That is not what we teach here. That is not spiritual growth. For people on a spiritual path, it is not about improving ourselves, it's about growing spiritually. Big difference. It's about allowing God, Spirit, Source to unfold us, to deepen us, to grow us, to help us remember who in truth we already are. It is nothing to be reached for out here. It is nothing you can buy on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or whatever the hell it is now. That is not spiritual growth. It is all about remembering that it's all already here. Isn't that a relief? Isn't that a relief? Now, being quite familiar with the liminal space myself, what I've learned is that while we're in the hallway, if you will, we actually have an opportunity. Not an opportunity to grasp or control or force outcome, but an opportunity to lean into what is already at our disposal. And that, here in New Thought, are our spiritual practices, all the spiritual practices that can support us while we are in the in-between. The in-between is not meant to be, it doesn't have to be anyway, a time of flailing and gnashing of teeth. Although I've chosen that many times in my life. But that's not meant to be that. I invite you to consider this. New Thought has a plethora of spiritual practices. We teach them all here. My invitation for you to support you during this in-between time is to get curious, to try them, to try everything. Have fun with it. Seriously, my friends, try everything. It could be gratitude work, journaling, affirmations, meditation, guided, silent, or walking meditations. It could be spiritual study like taking classes or workshops or joining one of our beloved spiritual growth circles. It could be affirmative prayer or seeing a practitioner for spiritual guidance. It could be volunteering or being of service or marching or joining one of our 5 Spirit-led social action teams. Or regularly attending a service here or online as a regular spiritual practice. It can be connecting with your kindred spirits downstairs after service or in the chat online. There's so many ways to engage in spiritual practice. It can be allowing yourself in the sweet, nurturing space here. And for those of you at home, to really feel the music we offer here, to allow yourself to move with it. That's a spiritual practice, if you choose to, and if not, that's okay. It's just us. We teach all of it here, and I invite you to try everything, to try all of it. Being in the in-between time does not mean being passive about it. It means being awake to it in whatever way you can. Discover what works for you, what supports you, and you may be surprised. So I'm curious, how many people here in the room were hesitant to engage in a spiritual practice at first, but then you did and you discovered how much it supported you? How many people here? Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It works. It works. These spiritual practices support your becoming. They help all of us remember who we already are, who we have always been, even and especially in those liminal spaces. And they knew something about this in Copenhagen back in 2018. And of all places, the Copenhagen airport. So they realized that they had to build a very, very long temporary tunnel, like a corridor for passengers to go through, and there was a lot of construction to get people from one place to the gates. It was a major renovation. It was underway, and it was this long, narrow, horrible passageway, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet long. It was right next door to this awful construction site, like right there. And so the airport authorities quickly realized something, that if you make thousands of people walk through a dark, echoing, plywood-walled tunnel, they're going to feel that, and they're going to get irritated naturally by the chaos of that. They're going to resent that. They may not even want to go back to that particular airport. And some passengers would inevitably try to peek through the plastic see what is happening back there, which was, of course, unsafe. So they did something beautiful, something that has inspired airports all over the world. They turned this temporary corridor into a meditative experience. They created an installation called In Transit. Isn't that fabulous? I was like, I think every one of us is in transit. I think that's the best name for anything. And what they did is they decided to fill that dark, dank hallway with soft, shifting lights that shimmered and moved and glowed and looked like the lights were breathing. The space became calm and welcoming. And what had been a harsh construction detour became something that actually felt beautiful and indeed meditative. One of the architects said, the intention was to create space so beautiful and engaging that passengers would not even think to look at the construction behind the walls. They would simply walk the long path before them, trusting the work was happening out of sight. And they would enjoy the beautiful light along the path. Beloveds, if that is not a metaphor for our lives today, I do not know what is. I do not know what is. We teach in New Thought that we are always at choice. And if you have found yourself in a hallway in some area of your life, you get to choose what you hang on those walls. We all do. We can choose beauty, whatever that may look like for us right now. We can choose gentleness. We can choose rest. We can choose self-care. We can choose spaciousness. We can choose tenderness. We can choose spiritual practices. And for the love, we can choose joy. Because something is happening behind the scaffolding of our lives. Something is being built, repaired, strengthened, and readied. Thresholds are places where we choose who we will be when the next door opens. and every threshold or in-between time in your life, even and especially the uncertain times, is in spiritual truth a doorway that the universe, that spirit, that source is preparing just for you to walk through into something deeper and more freeing and ultimately more loving.